All right, guys. Next little project. These are nice little equipment trailers. This is a style that lay flat on the ground. You can see that they run some tool equipment up there, which is in this case scissor lifts. This belongs to an electrical company. And so take a wild guess as to what's wrong with this thing. Okay, you don't have to guess, I'm telling you. See that crack? It's causing an issue. But wait, there's more. These little hinges and a completely missing panel. So we'll take care of that as well. But now that I got you here, check this one out. I'm really surprised it held together. I'm gonna let it down. Look at that. I'm surprised it didn't just completely let go and make a skid out of this on the ground on the road. So I'm really not a big fan of this style of attachment or safety latch, or there's got to be another way. But for now, this is what we're gonna repair. And so my thoughts are to set this on the ground, raise this up here to where we get the trailer part off of it, because what's going to happen is it's going to make it a challenge to work on if I leave it right there where it's at. Here you see it going to the floor. And so to crawl underneath it and all that kind of business, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm too old. So I'd rather, since I can take it apart, I will take it apart. And here, this is just the lights for the center over there. No big deal. I looked under there, there's a ground screw, and clip one in and just put a connector, so it's already got the same thing. So that's the next step. Do that and let me get that apart, and then I'll show you what I'm wanting to do to fix this. Here we go. Okay, so we've got this held up. So you can tell this is pretty bad. It's been repaired before a couple times. Same with down here. Been repaired a few times. In there as well. And so my thought on this is, instead of trying to bevel this and make it all pretty and weld it again, because I don't know what type of crack is underneath this area here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut this section out with a plasma cutter. Just cut that all out and be done away with it. Same thing under here. Cut it out to where I don't have to worry about any heat affected zones or any metal that's been, oh, I forget what they call it, worked too much. And so weakened, in the sense, I forget the word. And same thing here. I'm going to plasma cut all this stuff out all the way around here. I don't want to have to mess with that. And over that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to either use a thicker piece of angle iron. I don't like using angle iron because of the sharp corner. It doesn't look fabricated, but I'll have to see what material I have. At least 1/4 inch material, and go this way around here and bridge this area so that it replaces this thickness. I think this is 3/16. I can't really tell. I won't know till I open it. So once I do that, I'll know what to replace it with. And I'm not going to tie it into this flush. I'm just going to lay it right over it, then trim this so that this fits back in its place. And same thing down here. I will cut down here, cut all this junk off, just be done with all this mess, and put a patch over it. And I'm not a big fan of patches over stuff, but in this case it's going to take the load for this at that point. So it will have a weld around the perimeter. I'll radius these edges here a little bit so it's not a sharp corner. Same thing up here, radius these so it pulls or holds straight. Same thing here. This was added on afterwards because it doesn't have one on this side. So that's the next step. Plasma cut all this junk out, then I'll prepare this end after I get the parts welded in position. I'll measure it, know what measurement goes back in, and be done. So that'll be easy, and not easy, just that's the process I'm using. And are there 100 other ways? Yes. This is again not a how to do it, but this is how I'm going to do it, and hopefully it works out well. It should. This here looks like it's been affected with rust, so I'll have to cut around it or look at it as I open it and find out what's truly under there. These serve as a stop down here somewhere. I forget exactly where they hit, but you can tell they do hit, so that's at least a 1/4 inch. So that plate that I'll use would be 1/4 inch at minimum as well. But it's exciting. Look like it'll work, and so let's get after it. Let's get to plasma cutting this stuff off. Okay, so now you can see that it's, you know, pretty chewed up. I may actually take this guy off as well. Cover this whole area with the plate or the angle that I'm talking about. Same thing here. This is surprisingly thin for as much weight as yanking on it. And this only looks to be not even 3/16, I don't think. Maybe, but it looks awful thin. So we'll cover it with a piece of 1/4 inch. That way it's at least stronger, and bridge this area here a little bit wider so that it has more strength from pulling that way. This here, I will cut a little bit further back because there's a weld there. I don't know if that's hiding a crack underneath it. I'll probably be able to feel it once I let it cool, but I'll go ahead and cut it out and just weld along this perimeter right here. It'll be fine. This here as well, I'll have to see if it needs those to bump to the end of that material, because as I was looking, it doesn't seem to have any marks that it was hitting. So we'll have to see. But I think I'll go ahead and cut these out anyway, bridge it out, take this guy off, and go from there. Yeah, this guy was cracked for a while. That I can just grind. Oh, actually, I have some new flush cut consumables. Let me try and use those, see if that works. So exciting. All right, here we go. Okay, so I missed a little bit of footage, I think. But anyway, this is how much I'm going to cut out. Now somebody may ask, well, why don't you just replace it with tube? True, I could replace these tubes. However, they don't sell just these short sections for me, and this will work. I can buy like 2 feet or 3 feet of it and replace that. That would be ideal. At this, you know, it would help. It'd be almost easy enough just to do that there and this here, but this patch will definitely hold, being as how the piece I'm putting on is thicker. It should work well. And the same situation here, it'll work fine. This is a size that you don't order too often. I guess it's a 3 by 4. Not too many places have these locally, so that's another issue. Trying to get it right away. So I told them I would be done with this afternoon. So I'll cut the patch pieces, put it in my press brake, bend it over. I will notch around this area here, and you'll see it'll come out pretty clean and pretty strong. So let's keep moving. What we're going to try and do is we're going to stuff a piece of blade in there. Hold onto there, and hold onto here as much as I can to create something to tie into the back side of the tube. So I just need something about that wide, coming right here, down, bottom, back as much as you can, the bottom as much as you can, and then this side. Okay. Now it doesn't have to be like super shiny, but just clean enough where you can put a good weld on it. You know? Better than that, but just a little wider. Okay. I mean, like I said, I'll find a piece where we can stuff in there. Maybe create a little bit of a stiffener as well to help hold a little better. I'll roll in there, I'll roll in here. And done. Alright, so what I did is I cut these out with a plasma cutter, hand plasma, and a straight edge. I didn't show you that, it's boring. But now, fortunately, I have a press brake here, well, iron worker, that will help me bend these up to the shape I need. So, here we go. like a glove. Okay, so these pieces worked out okay. It's still hot. Can you put that up there on this top one? That's gonna work there. I didn't clean enough up here, but it's no problem. That'll cover that whole area. And this one here, we're gonna put it on there. It's hot. That is hot. Now I had a little bit of miscalculation with that. Got a bit of a gap, but I don't know if I mentioned to you. Go ahead and take this off. What I'm gonna do to help support this inner piece is we're gonna put a little piece in here and weld it where we can, just to keep this from flexing anymore or any less. So a little bit more cleanup right in this area and weld this guy here, and we are almost there. So let's keep trucking. All right, so I got this little insert piece in there that I'm gonna put in here just to help strengthen it up, and so that should work to buy some, some more stability and strengthen that area to keep it from pulling away. Now it's not going to be the best looking weld, but at least we get something on there. And surprisingly, tack welds and even small welds are very strong. So this, in addition to the outer piece, will hold for a good long time. So here we go. Let's turn the wire speed up.
Wire speed?
Oh, never mind. Right here. Did you find it?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look in there, they're pretty good. It's a tensile type pull, so that'll be plenty good enough. That definitely help it from pulling away. And then of course with this added piece, we'd be in real good shape. But let me clean this up just a little bit more, and then we'll slap that piece on top of it. Some have asked why I don't use an auto darkening hood. This is actually an auto darkening hood. It's a 2x4 lens. If you follow me on Instagram, I have it on one of the highlights page. It's called Weld Beast. And this one slides in. This is an older version, but now they have one that's adjustable. And you may have to open up this opening here a little bit more, because that's meant more for the type that drops in from the back. So I do have an auto darkening. Pretty handy, and it helps a lot. But I still like the use of my flip lens as a grinding shield. So here we go. Okay, so things are looking all right. Got that done. Now I need to do this back edge, but I'm gonna wait till I put this one on, and that way I just do all the backs at the same time, do it all at once. So let me put this other one on, and then we can go forward from here. Ooh, the wind came in here. Hey baby, can you go close up the garage door? Okay, so that looks good. That looks good. Looks all right. Now the next step is to trim this guy up. Where'd it go? Trim that guy up to fit right in between, and I think we'll be in business. It's looking really, really good. I'll just take a measurement of, you know, what the new space is, what the old space is here, and subtract it on each side. I'll get rid of that, and we should be good. I mean, it's looking really nice, so not so bad. And when you consider this is thicker than this piece, you know, that's a lot of strength pulling on it this way. It's not going to fold in on itself, so I think we're in good shape. All right, next step. Is it going to work? I don't know, but we're going to find out. have the feed speed going very slow. Very close. Okay, let's see. There you go. So here you go. Here's this piece. And you may wonder, well, why didn't you just make a new one? Well, I would, but I did not have a piece of 4-inch channel. Again, it's something that I had to buy 20 foot of. So that kind of stinks. So you do with what you got, right? When you're out in the field, you do with what you got, and this is what I got. And so I would try and clean this up as best as possible. I cut it to the proper measurement. Maybe a little bit snug in there, just like that. Little, well, you can almost see that. There you go. So clean up, weld, and we'll be back in good shape. I don't know why they designed it like this, and this looks aftermarket or an afterthought, but it is what it is. And so even this piece was put on afterwards. It's crooked, but it's on there. So let me clean all this up, and I'll be able to weld it all up. And maybe I'll put some supports on it. I'm not exactly sure yet, but let's see what it looks like when I clean it up and tack it in there. Okay, so I got the flush cut consumables here. has a little bevel. You drag it flush with the material, and we'll see just how flush it does. So let's give it a shot. Worked pretty good. You do have to know what you're looking for though, because that arc was kind of interesting. Just like when you're using a scarfing tip on a torch, you watch the separation line in here. So that worked out well. There's very little grinding left. Awesome. Okay, so so far so good. That's pretty nasty, but I'm going to assemble this whole thing in hopes to make sure that that fits in here. I took some measurements, but you just never know, so I'd rather test fit it, and it'll be mostly assembled by that time, so it'll just be a matter of welding instead of gouging and cutting, so that I should be able to reach a little easier than just like at first. It would have been really difficult to do this all underneath there. So let's reassemble this, make sure this latches at least. Don't have to carry any weight, right? Just make sure that it enters in and out properly, and then I can weld it all up. So let's do that next. Okay, so after that fiasco, that was pretty interesting. That was quite a wrestling. Now it's time to go ahead and weld this up, being as I know it'll fit well. Put that back together. So let me just let it down some here. It should be good enough there. Now I'll weld it up. Here we go. Okay, so that looks good. Should hold. Now, next step, cut these guys off. I got some regular piano hinges, almost like door hinges, to go on there. I'll try and disguise them a little bit nicer, so that they don't just look so ugly. Yeah, I really don't like using that style of hinge, but you know, they're pretty heavy duty. A lot better than this here in this sense, because I believe these are brass and they just ended up breaking. So you can get steel ones, but then they may rust. You know, there's always a toss-up of which ones to use. So we'll just use regular door ones and it'll work. We can put them, fold them open, tack them on here, tack them to the lid, be done. So that's what we are going to do. All right, next step. All right, guys, so I got done with this job. Neat little project. Wasn't that tough. I sure wish I could have replaced that channel though, but oh well. Anyway, so the thought was to replace what was bad and fix what was bad. So I did, and it came out good. I added a little cover there, but that's pretty much it. Put these hinges on the outside. I really don't like using those type of hinges, but you know, in this case they work. And for serviceability, you know, you just use a cutoff wheel, cut those corners, and I tacked on the underside, and you can replace it. So easy enough. You know, I don't think they'll have any more problems like this guy here with the barrel hinge. These are good in certain instances, and they'll work fine for most times, but sometimes you gotta put something like this that lasts a lot longer, especially if these have brass pins, center dowels. But anyway, that was it. Now I gotta pick up my junk, and I'm glad I'm getting done semi early because it is hot. It's scheduled to be 105 today, so 105 around 3 o'clock or so. It is pretty warm, especially since my shop faces west. Sun goes right in it. But that doesn't really make it. It's no big deal. Either way, work is work. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I'd like to see what you guys think about my patch panel or cover. Like I say, I normally don't like doing it, but it worked in this situation. So thanks again, and we will catch you guys later.